to do. I mean, the majority of people that stay here, it's either their honeymoon night or an anniversary. It does tend to be special occasions. And it does seem to be people who stay time after time. I mean, we don't advertise anywhere, so people, I mean, for Christmas, I think this year we've got a couple coming back. It'll be their 43rd year in a row coming back for Christmas.
Gosh.
And people come back for their anniversary year after year after year, always have the same room. That's the idea.
Going back to this, you were talking about Halloween and ghosts supposedly knowing that it's a sort of the sort of witching time, as it were. How do ghosts know about time? Do they not? If they're if they're on the other side, is there not such a thing as time?
But there's still, if we're talking about an active spirit in a property, a beautiful property like this, there's no time in the true world of spirit. There's no clock watching. But if they're in our atmosphere, our ether, they can understand. They can see clocks. They can understand the movement of a clock going from 12 right the way around. So yes, whilst they're in our ether, they can see. But the spirits that dwell truly in the realms of spirit, that have gone away from this atmosphere, no, they're not in a time zone.
As I understand it as well, from working with other mediums, spirits are aware of seasons and seasonal changes, so they're able to identify with our time sphere through the seasons.
Very so, yeah.
Would you like to know, you're not sure whether this is a haunted place or not, but if you definitely knew that it was haunted, would you want rid of the spirits here, or would you like to keep them?
No, I mean, it must be part and parcel to being here in the first place. I want the place to stay as it is as much as humanly possible.
Well, I don't know, I just think, is it spirits that are supposed to stay in a building, aren't they trapped? Aren't we supposed to do something to help them to
leave? Assume something had happened to someone.
Okay.
Who's committed suicide or something terrible to be trapped.
I mean, Jason and I, we've talked at length over this, over different types of spirits, why they're actually in the atmosphere. One could have lost their life through suicide. One could have lost their life through being murdered. I mean, there's been murder here.
Do you know something? And are you thinking, but as a medium as well, don't you ever get fed up of, like, spirits supposedly coming in and wanting to have a chat with you? What if you're in the shower or if you're in bed at night? Don't you think, for goodness sake, just leave me alone?
No, they can be quite considerate, actually, of that, in the sense of the spirits visiting you in your home are generally people that have gone before you anyway, i.e. parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles. So you don't really mind if they come visit. But when we go to our toiletries and things like that, they don't infringe.
Because I've often thought that, you're sitting on a toilet doing a private thing there, and someone could be looking at, or you're with, you're having a bit of a loving moment.
No, they show their own respect in that sense. They don't do that.
You've never had any complaints on that.
No, they do.
Well, you've got your honeymoon suite here. Is that one of the places where people might experience it?
Oh no, I've often thought about that.
Yeah.
What about, it's a change of subject, but what about witches?
Oh yes.
Because I always feel lucky in this room because you've got the witch's ball in the corner.
I noticed your witch ball, yes.
To bring luck to the room,
ball,
isn't it?
yeah.
I always understood that if a witch walked past the window and put an evil spell on the room, that would reflect it back on the witch, so it should bring good luck to the room.
We're talking about two levels maybe of witchcraft. One the lighter side, one the darker side. The darker side is not really to be treated lightly.
Witchcraft is all to do with intent. I mean, the label white witch is a commercial term for witches who make a living out of selling spells, potions, whatever. But witchcraft itself, it's all to do with the intent. Whether it's something is bad to one person may not be bad to another.
Yeah.
But it's interesting you've got the witch ball there because they actually link to divination, and that's how crystal balls began, because witches used to use witch balls to read the future, and that's how it got into the crystal ball. And it's also actually, interestingly, how Christmas baubles on Christmas trees, they derive from witch balls.
Really? That's bringing good luck to everybody.
That's it,
That's fascinating.
We were all keen to get started with the investigation. Derek took us to bedroom 18, where no reported ghost sightings have occurred, which took us by surprise.
Right. My first impressions is that I'm aware of a young woman's presence here in this room, and I seem to be drawn over towards this fireplace here, and I feel often, although she's not actually standing here, at the moment, her energy, residual anyway, and she is a spirit of it that is actually resident here. And I feel like a kindred soul, and I want to go way back in time with this female, only a young lady. And you know, because of her love for a particular man, she lost her life. Now, I feel there was a group of males, and these males felt threatened, I feel, by her. I don't know why, whether she was going to speak. She wasn't speaking. They took it all wrong. And, you know, they took her life from her. Annie. Bertels. Her life was taken from... Who? Yes. There was a group. There was 14 of them. 14 smugglers.
Gosh.
14 smugglers. She loved Cater.
Cater?
It sounded like Cater. Cater. It was on the orders of Thomas Kingsmill. The orders of Thomas Kingsmill to do this horrible deed. Do you hear those guns? Did you hear 2 guns then?
No.
Okay, that's residual. Okay. It's a young lady, a young maid. A maid.
Is this somebody different from the woman you were talking about before, or the same person?
I feel this could be the same person. Because I saw a young lady downstairs, the way she was dressed, and she's not actually standing here, but I feel this is one of the same people. She walks through. A little party trick, she walks through the door.
Right.
She walks through the door. She doesn't open the door, she just walks through. So, and she's very, she comes back here, she must be somewhere else, walking around. But this, I feel, is very strong with her energy here. Very strong.
Wow. Should we move on?
Okay, thank you.
All right, Derek.
Yeah, fine, thank you. Sheesh.
Derek often refers to Sam. He's Derek's spirit guide who passes on messages from souls who have moved over to the other side. We were led into bedroom 16, where 2 ghosts have been seen fighting.
Now, here, I get, there's 2 men fight here. It's in this area. I feel as if, there's something to do with the floor. Killed him, and he went down. There's a trap in the floor. He dropped his body into a dungeon, a hole. This is it. Take it off, Sam. There it is. Oh.
What?
If you look in there.
What's in there?
He put the sword in his chest. The final blow.
Did they put them down that sharp?
I feel it's in this area. Who? Sorry, just get me a breath. Oh, come here. Oh, come here.
Do you want to come out, Derek? Come on out, sweetheart.
Yeah, okay.
Even though Derek seemed a little overwhelmed by the presence of the ghost of a man who'd been murdered by the smugglers, he was very keen to take us to room 17. Remember, he has had no prior information about the inn or the rocking chair, but he was drawn to it straight away.
There's about an elderly lady and a child. That says here. A lady sits here and she connects with a man. She says, is her man. And she said George, and then she said Gray. And she's George Gray's woman.
What's her name?
What's your name?